Hello and welcome back to Beyond. We are now getting visuals from Pakistan where US Vice President J.D. Vance has arrived to participate in US-Iran talks. The US Vice President is leading the US delegation, which also includes Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner and Special Envoy Steve Witkoff. Right, so those are the latest visuals that we are getting. We have them on your screen. The US delegation has arrived in Pakistan, in Islamabad, for peace talks with the Iranian delegation, which is also in Islamabad at this juncture. All right, as the delegations of both the countries arrive in Islamabad to discuss further and what could be the outcome of the much-awaited US-Iran peace talks in Pakistan, we are now being joined by Dr. Tara Karta from New Delhi, who is former director of the National Security Council Secretariat. Dr. Karta, thank you so much for joining us today on Beyond. The US delegation has landed in Pakistan already for peace talks with Iran. Vice President J.D. Vance is leading the US front. Now, he hasn't made many statements in the past, except his last, where he said Iran must not try to play the US in peace talks. From here on, what kind of turn do you expect the negotiations to take, especially given how fragile the ceasefire has been so far?
Well, first thing is don't expect any quick results. I think the Iranian delegation went in expecting at least 15 days, which I was quite surprised that they would stay 15 days in Pakistan, right? But and we also know that most of the time the demands are made upfront at the maximalist position, which everybody knows. But, the problem here is that what Trump has been saying is that, the enrichment is an absolute no-no. Okay, so now the fact that now Iran is saying, no, we will have enrichment, that is one of their conditions, that is going to be one of the key issues. And considering that they offered, zero stockpiling way back in February, and the very same persons who are there in this Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff, who are there in the delegation, were there in February and said no to, they started the war the next day. Iran was ready to give up entirely, zero stockpiling. Now it is saying, sorry, we will continue with enrichment. The kind of the reports which are going around is possibly that there will be some assistance in terms of a peaceful nuclear program for Iran with IAEA and everybody involved, but something where Iran can say that it has won a minor victory. Otherwise, that is one. Second, of course, is the Strait of Hormuz, where Iran is now sitting, and I understand from reports, it's now levying tolls. There are tankers who are being asked, please don't pay, but then if you don't pay, you can't get through. That is the report. We don't know what the situation is on the ground.
Correct.
So these are two actual regressive measures since the war started. It's complete regression. They were willing to give up nuclear weapons, now they're not. Apparently. They were not in control of the Strait of Hormuz, now they are. So it's pretty much up for grabs what they're going to do.
Right. I'll just come back on the Strait of Hormuz point a little later. But Dr. Karta, as you were highlighting, earlier also talks were underway in February, but just a couple of days later, the war began. And this lack of trust is definitely prevalent on the other side as well in Iran, as you were highlighting. Iran's parliamentary speaker, Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, is going to lead the delegation, in the peace talks in Islamabad. He has also said that they do have good intentions, but they do not trust, as you were highlighting. From here on, what do you expect Iran's stance to be, at the meeting against this backdrop?
See, the first thing they will ask, obviously, is that the attacks on Lebanon should stop. Now, I understand there's been some conversation between the Israeli leadership and the US, so they will back off for a bit, which will be critical in getting this to go, because it might seem unreasonable that Iran is asking for the security of its quote-unquote allies. To call Hezbollah an ally itself is pretty surprising, but there it is. It says it's an ally in Lebanon, which it has no business being in Lebanon. That's a different issue. So that is key. Now, Israel is not part of these talks, which is very surprising because Israel is there are, like I said, there are two wars. One is the US-Iran war, and then there's the Israel-Iran war. Both are linked. So unless you have an Israeli input here, I honestly don't see how this is going to go further because the Iranians will lose face if they go back and Israel continues to hit Lebanon. So I would assume then in that case Israel is trying to sabotage these talks, doesn't want it to go forward. But let's hope that the Benjamin Netanyahu comes to some kind of a moderation here and backs off. If that happens, yes. The second thing, which I think, if you look at the delegation, I think one of them is the central bank of Iran. So there's the question of reparations, or not so much reparations, sorry, as I think about 500 billion odd, which is, Iranian assets, which are stuck in various capitals, including, I think, about 2-3 billion in the US itself. They will want that released. I think that will be very critical in negotiating the other issues which they're talking of.
Right. Dr. Kartha, like you were highlighting, Israel is not at the table currently at this moment. But whatever be the outcome of the US-Iran peace talks, how do you expect Israel to react? Do you think it is going to be accepting, or like you were saying, it could sabotage the outcome? But at this point, we do not know what the outcome is going to be. But at this juncture, what are your thoughts? How is Israel going to react?
See, I can only go by facts. The facts are that Israel has been attacking targets in Iran, which apparently was not sanctioned by the US. The trouble is, of course, you don't know exactly whether what Trump is saying is true or not. But the attack on Pars gas field, the attack on the bridges which were vital to Iran, the attack on the electricity infrastructure. Just one day before the peace the ceasefire was to come into force. I beg your pardon. The talks were going to come into force. They attacked the electricity grid. That was a huge escalatory step. So from that, I'm assuming that Israel doesn't want this particular set of talks to go on just yet, until it has achieved its complete objectives, which is the total annihilation of Hezbollah and Iran's capability to recoup in any way in the next few years. I mean, remember that this is the only president who agreed to Israel's proposal. 6 US presidents refused. Israel's, the push to bomb Iran, to end this whole nuclear things. Now that they've got this opportunity, they are not going to let go so easily.
Right. Dr. Kartha, one more observation, before we talk about the outcome further. The place of mediation, Pakistan, here's an observation. It was Pakistan's military chief, General Munir, and the Pakistan foreign minister who received both of the delegations. But here's an observation. Field Marshal Munir was seen in his military uniform when receiving the Iranian delegation, while he was in a civil uniform when the US delegation was received. Anything that we should be reading into this?
I think it's probably thought it was wiser to have a civilian, face in front of the US. I mean, you're talking to the US vice president. Yeah. I mean, I know Trump loves this, has talked amazingly about this, his favorite field marshal. That's all very well. But here Pakistan is playing a very, very delicate game because it is, the way we're looking at it from India is who's Pakistan to do this, etc. For them, it's extremely difficult. You have to negotiate with Iran, who's not entirely happy with you, who doesn't trust you, despite all the public rhetoric. Iran has no faith in Pakistan. You have the US, who writes their tweets for them. This is the level of, they have no, what shall I say? They don't seem to have an independent voice anywhere here. They're not a negotiator. They are just formed a venue. On the other hand, I think the one reason why Pakistan was chosen is also the fact that China is looking over its shoulder. China will never be directly part of these negotiations. Yeah. But China will get input on everything that goes on. So the field marshal has to be a civilian sometimes he has to be this tough army general. So it's a pretty difficult game which they are doing, and well, there it is. I mean, for all our sakes, I hope this reaches somewhere. We have to end this war. China and India are separately negotiating with a bunch of actors. But
Correct.
both countries are doing it very, very quietly. So you're not on the spot. Tomorrow, if the ceasefire fails, then Pakistan is on the spot.
Yeah. Right, right. Uh, Speaking of the ceasefire, Dr. Kartha, if this 14-day ceasefire expires without a written agreement, as in if we don't see an outcome today, later, or over the weekend, does the US, do you think, have the domestic appetite for that decimation of Iranian energy infrastructure as it had threatened? What are your thoughts on that? Or do you think is it primarily a psychological warfare?
I think these talks will probably take a while longer. I mean, I'm looking to an extension of the talks. Probably that will happen. But as I said somewhere else, is that if they don't get a sense that Iran is going to play ball with them, there is a very real danger of the escalation. Trump has apparently I'm not just talking of only President Trump. I'm talking of the entire cabinet around him. They seem to be okay with escalation, and he will want a victory before midterm polls, which is very clear, televised, and on the table. This is victory. So what is his victory? As yet, we don't know. If it is the opening of the Straits of Hormuz, then already you've seen that threat from NATO. He's telling NATO, if you don't help me, then we're going to pull troops out of countries who don't cooperate with us. So clearly that is a very critical sticking point.
Right.
So
Right.
it depends. If maybe Iran could open up just a bit, allow a few, they could lengthen this whole thing. But if it doesn't work, Trump is not the kind, he could escalate very badly. And that is, I think, is dangerous to all sides, everybody
Yeah.
involved in this, everyone.